Hey everyone, Terrence the Tractor 525 here, and as promised, I am back for one more update video before I go back to college at the end of August. So as you can see, the plaster cloth mostly has been implemented. You'll notice that I also added another coat of taping compound, which, as some of you may have seen on Twitter, I made a post a few weeks ago when I was doing other parts of the layout stating that the taping compound does a few things. It makes the mountains much stronger, and it covers all of the air pockets in the plaster cloth. So you'll notice that I decided to make the update video now because while all the plaster cloth is pretty much done, the taping compound I actually did not do in all the areas. For example, you'll see right here. Here I did not put taping compound yet, so that's just plaster cloth. And it's also much weaker. If you touch it, you'll hear like a crackling noise, and you're not really going to want to have that when you touch it, and it's also moving a bit. Up here, the taping compound was implemented, so it's much more sturdy, and there's no holes, and once you see it, it just looks much more realistic, you know, since you don't have all the holes and such. But yeah, this is the main thing I just wanted to show. And I'll just go around here. I made sure to tape all the tracks, because obviously you can see there's plaster and crap, you know, all over the place, and always good to tape your tracks when you're doing working with plaster. So, but yeah, as stated, like this has all pretty much been coated with taping, so this is ready for scenicking. This is probably going to be grass, probably use that bright grass meant to make it more season far accurate. And on the sides here we'll have gray stone with rock molds, kind of similar to the coastal route of my layout and the mountain line. So that is that, yeah. Alright, and now I wanted to come back over here because, as you can see, yes, I actually did set up dryer here once more. And, I mean, while rethinking it, I'm starting to think that instead of putting the mid-sill railway sheds here, dryer actually may still be the better option. And I'm going to give you a few reasons why. Number one, there's already many sidings on my Skarloey Railway layout, including like ones here and over by you know, the mainline station, which I'll just quickly show you. Over here, I mean, these are all technically like areas where the engines can just sit, and you know, it doesn't really make sense to have a whole nother yard. It's kind of a waste of space. I mean, it is cool to have like a deserted, you know, obviously it'd be like a deserted set with the mid-sill railway sheds. But at the end of the day, I do have more HO scale engines. It would be nice to, even if this is a dummy line, to just set them here. The other reason is that I've decided, if I were to do this, I might have said this before, but I don't completely remember, but I'm gonna have a tunnel portal there, but I have one, but not just that, I have one other tunnel portal here that I would probably put right here, and then have a very small dummy mountain, you know, going just to cover all this. That would just look much better instead of what I initially would have probably done, which is just have the tracks come out and then just end. I mean, if I do it like that, I feel like dryer actually won't look as awkward here. You know, it won't just feel like a random thing on top of narrow gauge lines. And I mean, especially with this mountain now here, like once I scenic it and I have like the grass and all that, I do feel like it'll all blend in. You'll notice that there's still this narrow gauge line here. What I'm probably going to do with this is not ballast it, but probably cover the tires with grass. So it's almost like an kind of quote unquote overgrown line. And you'll just see the rails. Like it'll still be operating, like the engines can still run on it, but you just won't see the ties. It'll just be grass and rails. That makes sense. But that's that. Here's another good shot, by the way, of taping compound, no taping compound. So essentially, and when doing that after plaster cloth, it's always good to mix in a little bit of water, just so then you don't feel like you're painting with clay, I guess, if that makes sense. You know, the water just makes it a little bit looser. You don't want to have it too loose because then it's going to drip too much, and then, you know, it won't really do its job. You'll still kind of see holes. So you have to kind of just put on a little bit, but just the right amount, so that like you're kind of like in this in-between place, so that you can still cover everything, but it doesn't take forever to brush it all on, you know. So that's that, you know. But as you can see, I need to go back here because you can still see like that's a piece of cloth right there, like, and you don't really want to see that. So I'll probably go back and then put in another coat of joint compound. But that's that. Let me know what you guys think about dryer in the comments below. Thank you again to those who did make other suggestions from my last update video. I really appreciate it. But as of now, the choice is either the midsole rally sheds and dryer. I'm really starting to lean towards dryer because the other reason is that I thought that I was going to implement dryer over by Terrence's field. Then I was like, you know what? It's going to look so awkward. It's too close to Lower Tidman Station and Maithwaite Station. It just wouldn't look right there. And when really thinking about it, guys, like all the Sodor locations, like even in this extension, like geographically this is not accurate since all the narrow gauge locations and dryer should really be in the middle of the layout, you know, for Thomas's branch line and obviously all the narrow gauge lines. But I only have these in this extension because this is the only place where unfortunately I have space for it. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, you know, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't really matter where the locations are as much. I just want to have room to make the locations, you know. And I mean, one day I may actually operate these tracks just so that I could actually use this for like future episodes of the Sodor series and remakes and such. And I mean, it really is a lovely model. You know, speaking of which, just to digress a bit, you'll notice that I have the dryer footbridge blocks right here. And now just look at that right there. Look at the way in which Hornby put a set of the Hornby Thomas on a model train set, and you see the dryer footbridge. Obviously it's dryer station. It's interesting how they did it the other way, since dryer was really supposed to be on the other side. But it's funny because they also used that double brick tunnel portal that I'm using. And so yeah, some inspiration came from this. But point being is that, like, you know, this is something that Bachmann really should have done when they came out with their resin buildings such as Maithwaite Station. Like, I think that, like, you know, they just have like an image of the product and that's it. But like, had they done this, I just feel like they would have been so much more popular because this is so much more attractive than just to put in the product, you know, on the box with no set around it. When you see a shot of Thomas and you know the scenery in the background, I mean, it looks amazing. It looks so realistic, and that's what this is all about. You know, like, it's not just about getting the product; it's about making a realistic looking thing around it. You know. And that's what made Thomas so popular in the first place, the realism, you know. As people on Twitter constantly talk about, you know, had Thomas been CGI from the start, I would absolutely not be a Thomas fan because it just wouldn't look realistic. You know, it wouldn't look realistic. There's nothing to really be inspired from, you know, other than, of course, like, you know, I guess the morals for children, but like, you guys get my point. There's so many reasons why the classic series is better, you know, even beyond just the model trains. But the model trains for me was probably the biggest reason why I've always been attached to Thomas, you know, even as someone who's now 21. So that is that, and there's all the products in the back. Bachmann did something like this too. It's more like just the front, you know. I really wish they would have had like some kind of model railway set, even if it was with Easy Track. Just add some scenery, blend it all in, you know, make it look as realistic as possible, and you would have had much better sales, in my opinion. But that was just a little tangent right there. I'm trying to think about if there's anything else I have to say. I'll just give you guys one more look of all this. Oh right, sorry, I just remembered. The Henry and the Elephant remake. That is going to probably be my last video until Thanksgiving when I come home for college, unless somehow I come back earlier because of another outbreak of the virus. But unfortunately, like episode 9, that's been postponed because I've been so busy with this extension and just a bunch of other things going on in my life. But episode Henry and the Elephant, I'm going to try to get that done before I go back to school. So expect that next week. But if not, it'll definitely be uploaded around Thanksgiving or at the very latest around Christmas time. So just stay tuned for that. I just want to give you guys one more tour of this. Show you guys what's going on here. And yeah, I mean, again, there's stuff lying all over the place just because it's, obviously, I'm working right now and I just have to have this stuff all over the place. But yeah, guys, thanks again for tuning into this update video. And for those of you going back to college, have a great year. For those of you going into high school or middle school or whatever grade you're in, you know, have a great year. Hopefully the coronavirus, you know, the outbreak won't be, the second wave of outbreak hopefully won't be as severe as the first one. But I mean, of course, that's just hoping. So there you have it, though. Once again, let me know if you have any comments or questions, comments, or concerns down in the comments down below. And there you have it. Terrence Tractor 525. Thank you very much for watching.